What are expectations then for this much anticipated meeting?
Well, Anna, good morning. So the meeting is expected to last 4 to 5 hours. It's going to start off later this morning, local time here in Geneva, in an impressive structure from the 18th century, just very close by to our vantage point called Villa Lagrange. And you think about some of the big U.S.-Russia summits over the last 7 decades, most of them have been very important to the world. A lot of them were historic milestones along the lines of Gorbachev and Reagan in 1985. But going into this, well, it's not that big a set of expectations. Both sides describe the relationship as the most tense it's been in years. From the Russian side, there's an eagerness to not allow a further deterioration in relations. They see a need to sit down and have this conversation in person. On the U.S. side, the list is much more comprehensive. Think along the lines of the ransomware attacks, the tensions over the Ukraine joining NATO, and, of course, the heavy hand on the domestic opposition in Russia. Of course, the key name there, Alexei Navalny. Outcomes, well, there's not likely to be any strategic friendship here. There's unlikely to be any nuclear breakthrough. I mean, let's face it, these things take years to put together. Possibly a restoration of diplomatic ties that would allow some of the consular services to become operational again, which is very important for investors and for business, guys.
Good morning, Yousef. Obviously, the optics of this meeting are being handled very carefully. Why is there going to be no joint press conference at the end?
So, Mark, when I flew in a few hours ago, it was a fascinating sight to see sort of the Russian planes stacked and the American planes stacked at Geneva airport. And it took us, quite a few minutes to find our slot. But bear in mind that as we begin to count down to the beginning of these discussions, the U.S. side is particularly worried that Mr. Biden is coming off the back of an 8-day whirlwind tour with a lot of other leaders. He's going to be tired. He's 10 years older than Mr. Putin. So they did not want to give the Russian side the opportunity to exploit any gaffes. That, of course, Mr. Putin is going to be focusing on. Plenty of punches have been thrown in the run-up from both sides, with the U.S. president agreeing with the characterization that Mr. Putin is a killer. That's in an interview with a U.S. broadcaster. And Mr. Putin, again, in another interview, reacted to that and said, well, it takes one to know one. Either way, though, there's going to be quite a bit of focus on trying to create something more predictable and in what Putin would describe as less colorful than Trump.